That's a start to a podcast.
My back hurts. I'm tired.
Huge sigh.
I'm doing 200 square feet of tile in the shower that you bought, specifically the small stuff.
I told you.
You told me you're getting small stuff. You didn't tell me like, hey, what size tile do you want? I would kill to have large tile in the bathroom.
Well, actually, my first pick was going to be those big tiles that were like the honed marble looking. So the whole shower was going to look like this, that like marble, like the...
Yeah, I know. It's like a one piece.
It's like a trend right now. Yeah, like it's like a one piece.
No seams, no...
But you are the one that said black would look cool.
Yeah, black and that... I said black because I wanted a moody, but I would be so on board with the honed tile thing. But the thing is, would you have gotten a connection to somebody who can get us that tile?
Well, the place that we got our tile had that large, but not in black. It was in...
Oh, it didn't matter. Listen, I just didn't... I thought you just showed me like this would be cool to do.
No, that was from the same company.
I would have totally done it.
Because it would have taken you one day versus 1 week.
I did not believe that. I can't believe that was an option.
Also, still mad you didn't do the herringbone pattern.
I'm not doing that ever again. I'll do it if it's like pre-made.
I feel like also though...
It's fading?
Yeah, it's not as... Like, I don't wish it
on anybody.
To be on anybody. That's true. I don't wish it on anyone, but I also don't like think, oh, we should do herringbone and be so pretty.
How old do you think
like
herringbone
Simple is now?
Simple is in right now?
By the way, my mic sounds kind of low. Does it sound low to you? No?
You sound fine to me.
Oh, okay. That's just me.
I think we had to turn the mics down a little bit when Robert Oberst was on the podcast last week. By the way, if you guys haven't listened to the podcast, go listen to it. Keep in mind, there's a lot of explicit language there, but it was a wild time. Robert has an interesting story. He's a world strongman.
Did we have to have an E in our...
There's going to be an E for explicit on the...
in that episode? I don't think I've ever said a bad word in this podcast.
I've said it before, but I've said it maybe like 1% of the time. Yeah, that episode was wild, but he's got a crazy story.
Love it.
He got to, he won the world strongman competition. He's, hosted a show on History Channel. He's been on the Joe Rogan Experience, which that's how I found out about him.
Crazy.
He's been at the Comedy Store.
A lot of accomplishments.
Crazy. But he's got a wild life too, man. He was like homeless when he was 16, sleeping underneath this cart, like just everything against him. But then like just figured out life. It's wild.
Can't wait to hear it. Mm-hmm. What episode is that?
Last episode.
Well, what number?
88, I think.
88.
Okay.
Is that you? Episode number 88.
This is you.
So I can remember.
Not even knowing, trying to promote it. That's cool.
Love it.
That's cool. But yeah.
So we are leaving out of town tomorrow super early in the morning. And I feel like this happens every time we go somewhere. It's like the endless list of things to do before we leave.
But
do you feel like... Well, of course you feel like that. Do you feel it... I feel like you're laughing, but your eyes are screaming at me.
I'm laughing. I'm about to cry. That's what
I know. You're doing one of those.
Every time you plan a trip for us, last couple of weeks we went to Seattle. That was my doing. But every time there's a trip, it sets me back so far with work. And I don't know if it's because I do too much, or maybe I need to like hire on people to handle certain stuff.
Because you're one, yeah. I mean, you have Kyle, but then it's just like you. So
sure. If
you're not creating content, like if we're gone for like a week or whatever, that's of course you're gonna feel behind, yeah. Right. Unless you're already, a month ahead, which is really hard to do.
I think I had the biggest panic attack when we just came back from Seattle.
By the way, my shirt's wet. I spilled my athletic greens.
She looks like she's got milk let down from her breast. That's why you guys should go watch the YouTube video of the podcast.
Yes. Watch the
YouTube
in video.
4K. Watch
if you want to see the wet spot.
If you want to see the wet spot in 4K. But every time we go, I'm so far behind. And so when we came back from Seattle, I was in the middle of like putting out fires because like we were talking about shower enclosure in the last episode, there's things that were going down, we're back, change of plans essentially. And so now we're in the point of like doing 2 videos at once. Like Kyle's working hard, I'm working hard. And then I look at the calendar, it's like, oh, and next week you're leaving town for a week.
Yeah.
And I'm just
and then the next 2 months you're leaving town like every weekend.
Because the thing is like every time I have a hard month, I always go, okay, I just got to get through this month. The next month is going to be easier projects. They're not going to be as big or grand.
And they get even harder.
And then we end up like taking a trip or something like that. And then I'm backed up again.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in my defense, this trip was planned 9 months ago.
That doesn't change anything.
It's your fault.
No, it doesn't
change. You should have planned accordingly.
None of this is a surprise. But the thing is there's only so much I can do to get myself caught up before leaving, and then so much I can do to get caught up after coming back. Like there's no solution to this. What am I going to say? Be like, let's multiply Alex and replicate him?
But I'm saying like this trip was in the calendar. Like we knew it was coming. It's not like this last minute thing where it's like, oh man, why did we plan this? It was like we had. In
my defense, I actually thought we never sat down and said when we're going to Yellowstone.
We did.
No. We didn't set out like I knew it was at a cabin. I knew the date that it was, but I didn't know how long it was. And then when I looked at the calendar, because I thought it's going to be one of those Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday deals. And
you can't do Yellowstone Friday, Saturday, Sunday because it's a 6-hour drive.
I'll do it in 3. Okay.
You stay 5. I'm going to do it in 3.
So automatically I have this panic attack. It's like I'm gone for a week, and not to mention it's like weekday stuff. That's when I kind of lost it.
And then you're like, sorry, can't do it.
Yeah. Can you bump me up just a hair, Kyle?
Did you need to take your own car?
I actually texted you.
I'll drive myself.
I actually texted you and I was like, hey, are we really leaving for this long? And like, yeah, we're leaving at this and come back on that. And I was like, can we come back a day early? And you're like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and you have FOMO, so you're like, if we're the first ones to leave. I was
no, I don't really care. I would rather you not lose your mind or have a heart attack.
I truly felt like I was going to have a heart attack.
I know.
In fact,
and I know the thing is, I know how like stressed you are. So I don't want to be like, no, we have to stay the whole time, because it doesn't matter. We'll still have fun. In fact, it's going to rain, so we might be inside.
Kyle, can you grab that mic right there, by the way? Oh, is that disconnect? No, it's disconnected. Yeah, never mind. Can you tell when I'm stressed out?
Yeah.
You can tell so easily.
Here, hold on. Great. We'll grab this. I want to hear like, what do I do when I'm stressed out?
Oh man.
Come on, it's all right.
I don't know, man. You're just like constantly like walking around, grabbing different things.
Am I pacing?
Like, pacing, kind of like. You can just see your eyes like spinning.
You can see that?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I know I curse when I'm like stressed, because I'm like, I'll grab my phone and be like, F,
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be like on your phone trying to figure stuff out.
And then you're like, sure. So I noticed, because you're not your
spin that mic over to you.
Your regular you're not your regular like goofy, funny self. You're a lot more serious when you're stressed. Like you don't joke. Everything, like even when I make a joke, you'll go like kind of thing, because you don't have like the brain capacity to like even take a joke in.
No, I don't even want to make eye contact with people. You would stand there and you like maybe like stare at me or something like that, or try to get a reaction or something like that.
Yeah,
I have zero, and it's my way, and I don't think it's something I need to change, to be honest with you. I think it's my way of like keeping it together.
Yeah. It's not like you're mean and rude and going off on people. You are just, I guess the best way to describe it is like short. You're just like, sure, like done. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay, fine. Like, like those text messages that will say like, fine, period. Okay, period. Yeah. That's just you, because you just don't have the time. You're stressed out. You're trying to put out fires. So you're like, okay, cool, good, bye.
And when I say put out fires, I have to, I think, elaborate what putting out fires is, because
yes, elaborate.
So part of my work,
because it's not a actual physical fire.
There's fires. Kyle's like, why is there fire
why
in that corner?
Why is there fires all over the house? I don't understand.
Here's what ends up happening is, when I first started this business, I was just a one-man show, so everything was on me, but there wasn't a lot of moving parts. There wasn't really a website. There was a YouTube channel. There's an Instagram account. Just post as often as you can. I think I did a little bit of blogging back then. I wasn't working with many brands. And so when the operation was small and tidy, and obviously no money was coming in, you're just kind of going, I just need to make stuff until things, pop off. Okay. Then I constantly kept feeling, especially after hearing other creators, I always felt like I was behind on things. Like, oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing Facebook. Oh, they're also doing Snapchat. Oh, they're doing TikTok. I'm not doing TikTok. You're doing this dance back and forth. Oh, they have a trailer for their channel. I don't have a trailer. I need to have a trailer. You're constantly feeling like you're behind. And so the next couple of years was me, just getting after it. I made a list of like things I needed to do to be on par with what everybody else is doing, and diversifying, get on Pinterest, have plans. I hated making plans, by the way.
I remember that.
There's people who are good at making plans. They're so detailed. I'm not detailed. So I'm afraid that when I make plans and I sell them, people are going to be like, dude, this doesn't work. And then I'm going to feel terrible. I'm like,
the doors don't open.
I had Dylan from Woodbrew. He's like, hey man, I'll make your plans if you want to split commission. And I was like, dude, 100%. Because he's very detailed. Yeah. Very, very detailed. So
you have to be good at that or doing it, because it's a lot of work. Probably
there's also plans. There's enough money in there to make it worth your time. And that's some people's business models where they go, okay, so I'm a YouTuber, I'm this when it comes to building, and I sell building plans. And that's where I make my money.
Business,
Well, that's where I make my money. You know what I mean? When they get it so perfect. And if you think of it smart, because it's residual income, you sit down, you allocate time.
You do it once.
We'll do it once. And then it's a product that you're selling.
Yeah.
Now, I never had interest in that. I always rolled my eyes about it, and I was never good at it. So I didn't want to. So fast forward to today, I now have all these ventures that I think are very smart in terms of all the platforms I'm on, all the way we re-edit our content for different platforms like Facebook videos and Rumble and TikTok and Instagram and Reels and everything. And it's great. And you do see the fruit of it. And Amazon links, everything is truly working and is profitable. But what ends up happening now that you're doing all that, you are getting traction, which is a good thing, right? You can't complain about you getting traction and getting views. And even making a dent or being indexed as the person in that niche. I'm in the niche of home renovation stuff. So when brands come to me, and even worse, not worse, but this is kind of how it works. When brands come to you, they don't come to you directly from the brand. That only happens a very small percentage of time. Usually it's a marketing agency that the brand got a hold of, and they created a marketing strategy, and they're like, we'll find influencers and blah, 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 and they find people like me. So that's where I get to be stretched thin, where before I used to just focus on creating the videos and editing the videos. Then Kyle came in the picture. Now he's editing the videos. I'm just creating the projects. But now the next weight that's on my shoulder is the back and forth. I'm
negotiating.
Not negotiating. I'm reachable, and I have to be reachable with the brands,
right?
Because they're when I say brand is the marketing agency essentially, where they'll go, hey, we're working with so and so company. They want to work with you. They think it'll be a perfect fit. Great. I have availability in blank. Awesome. Cool. Here's a contract. Can we agree on these terms and these deliverables? Yes. Cool. Then we start the project. Then, and that's, let's say, the most simplest format. We agree on it. We do the project. We do the ad read. Boom. It's done. Submit it to review. Worst case scenario in that case is hey, Kyle, can you, edit in this, edit this part out and put this graphic in. That's usually the best case scenario. But then you have the other side of the coin where they're create us a thing, let's say Instagram Reel or whatever. And so you come up with it, you send it in. They go, can you change this out? Then you change it out. Can you also change this out? Can you change this out? But that's not just happening on a case-by-case basis. You're juggling in, so right now, right now is June 3rd. My calendar is going out to September right now. So we're booking for September. So every month is booked until September. That means everybody that I'm working with from June till September, and then everybody who wants to work past September are in communication with me. So instead of you going, oh, I'm talking to one brand about this, you're juggling. You're doing this, right? You're
Invisible juggling.
Invisible juggling, like the scene from The Office.
No hands. No hands. No hands.
Everessence? No. Evanescence. Invisible juggling. Kyle, do you know that scene from The Office? No?
It's good. It's Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell's in. And so you're now, you're constantly reachable, and you have to be reachable.
So are the fires you're putting out are communication, like making people happy?
Well,
brand-wise.
Not necessarily happy, but you're executing what they're asking for, right?
Yeah. So if they say, can we redo this? Can we actually edit this out? We don't want that language. We want this language.
Right.
Like those kinds of things.
Yes. Usually, the best case scenario with Kyle, when he works on a project, it's like a video. It's a project by project base, right? Mm-hmm. We started a project. We finished a project. He gives me the final product. He gives me the social media stuff. Boom, we're good. Off to the next one. This last month was extremely, I bet you, even stressful on Kyle. How was this last month? Was it stressful or are you good?
He doesn't want to talk about it.
Was crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I sent you so many videos. I know. I don't even know how many we put out, but yeah, it was nuts.
Poor Kyle.
Which sucks for this video because now I'm super. It just pushes everything back.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt so bad that I was like, I gotta get him a gift card. So I was like, dude, I'm sorry for you.
Because if you're stretched thin, then he's stretched.
Oh, for sure. But he's the most. I've never seen Kyle stressed. I've seen him nervous because he's here's the worst thing Kyle's ever said to me in terms of me going oh, he's really bothered by this or it's taking up a lot of his energy. He comes in, he goes, I have some bad news, and I go. This is while we're in the middle of multiple projects at once, and enough shit has hit the fan that I'm what? I'm expecting him to say we lost all the footage from this one project, and he goes, so the subscription model that we have for Google Drive, which you just upload stuff, it's one big online hardware or hard drive. He goes, it's gonna expire in a week or something like that.
You're
and I'm so we didn't lose anything. He goes, no, we have a week. I was like, Kyle, that's totally fine. We don't need to keep every clip of every, But to me, that was the most I've seen him stressed. Yeah, he's never shown.
It's stressful. In 1 week, it's gonna expire.
Yeah, it's yeah. So, but with me, it's me juggling the communication between everybody on multiple projects at once, and the social media projects, for the most part, sometimes he does it, but for the most part, if it's an Instagram reel or Instagram post or something like that, it's me editing it, right, for the brand.
Yeah.
Anything when it comes to video, he's doing it, and so the constant edits, whether it's me giving him, me doing it myself, or me coming up with creative aspects, it's all over the place. And now these brands want to have conference calls.
Yeah.
So
now
it's
squeeze in
you're squeezing
these calls.
You're squeezing these calls in, and they're not long. They're 30-minute calls, but it's just you could have gone and be productive, but no, you're sitting down and you're doing either negotiating or you're doing creative briefs.
Those things you have to do.
You absolutely have to do.
You want to keep the brands. Yeah.
Well, as soon as you say, hey, I don't have time, they don't need you. They're gonna move on.
Of course, but you have to play that. You have to court them, and it's
a
relationship.
And so constantly, during the workday, Kyle will see me tinkering on my phone, moving there, checking my phone. It's not that I'm checking my social media. It's no, the brain goes hey, can you
you've got to
send me this or do that, and it's so that
makes sense. You've got to be reachable. So do you feel basically
and just to think we were going to talk about family vacations?
Never.
I was I don't want to talk about family vacation. That's a boring conversation. Let's talk about something with fires.
Putting out fires. I just feel but the thing is, it's funny because I feel we talk about this almost every week, but there's a different spin on it because things are always changing. Things social media is always changing. So no matter what, the conversation is a little bit more relevant, I guess, and different each time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going to ask you, so the next step do you feel there's a next step for your business to expand? What do you always say? Not elevate.
Diversify?
No. Scale. That's what he always says. Yeah.
I say it?
Scale up.
I say it?
Yeah, you say it a lot.
Have I said that?
Yeah, you do.
I don't ever remember saying the word scale. You know, like there's two terms that I hear people saying, like in businesses, vertical integration and scaling up. And I've never used.
No, maybe it's not scaling up. You there's a term you always
expand?
use. No.
It's not diversify?
There's always a term you use when you're talking about like growing. I feel like maybe it's not scale up.
Do I say
it's something
dilating?
Similar. Yeah, dilating. And we need to dilate my business.
I need to get to 4 centimeters so I can get induced.
I'm only at 4, but I need to get to 7. So what is the next step you feel like? Is it hiring somebody? Do you feel like that's the next step you to be like more successful in what you're doing and to be less stressed?
Well, I think after hiring you on board as like a creative role has helped tremendously in terms of taking stress out. Because, and the role that we kind of assigned to you is, and by the way, yes, we pay her. The role we assigned to you is a creative, the creative aspect of the video idea, meaning, and we've spoken this many times on the podcast where there is the YouTube game, 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, and there's a YouTube game that's like right now that's changing. So whenever you see certain videos getting millions of views and certain videos of content creators who have a lot of followers, but the videos have dropped, there's a reason for it, because the algorithm and the way people consume content, that's probably more importantly, is the way people consume content is changing because of how many players are at the table, right? What do I mean by that is 5 years ago, so I've been in YouTube for 6, since January 2016, you could create a good YouTube video with a good picture and text on the picture. And because there's not a lot of content in that world, let's say of home renovation online, you would do well. You would establish yourself as the dominant person or the
like the front runner
of it, or the representative of that kind of industry. But now there's more and more people coming to the table. So the cream always rises to the top. So the people who are doing the best are not people who are just lucky. It's because they truly have figured out a section, a trajectory that it now makes them stand apart more than somebody else. So if you talk to like Mike Montgomery and Ben Ueda, they'll tell you like 10 years ago, the only DIY stuff that I was online was some like 40-year-old dude, 50-year-old dude with a GoPro in the garage building stuff, but he's not really explaining you how he did it. He's like, I'm building a dining room table, and you'd watch that. So they found the market where they go, well, what if we gave tutorials behind that kind of stuff? So they maximized it. They had crazy growth, and they were the voice of that niche, right? The DIY niche.
Right.
Fast forward to when I got in the game, I was one of the earlier, not the first, but earlier people to like the consistent basis of home renovation, big projects that some other people maybe had the budgets to do. And then fast forwarding to now, after like the views kind of dwindle down with everybody else, you have to figure out a way to stand apart even more. So now, instead of you going from like the OG side of things, where with voiceovers, you got to show some personality. So your voiceover is like Bourbon Moth, Jason Hibbs, we had on the podcast too. Check him out. He created, and we've spoken about this before, he created this lane where he's building the projects. He's showing you how he did it. He's not teaching you how he did it, but he's introducing this comedic relief aspect to these videos. And they're still voiceovers. Right. But you see body language, you see face reactions. It's really...
Is it all voiceover?
It's all voiceover. And it's really entertaining. I mean, maybe his intro might be not voiceover, but he's doing like the storytelling, and it's very entertaining. So he created his own lane. Right. And he's doing crazy good. I mean, I've done this for 6 years. He's been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years. He said he started before the pandemic. He's has more subscribers and more views than I do. So so that cream rise to the top. So I can't say Jason got lucky. No, Jason knew exactly. I mean, he says he didn't even plan it. He's like, I was being me. But the way I see it is that he created a whole new lane and attracted people to it.
Right.
So
It's not people going, I need to know exactly how you built this. It's just watching somebody do something while being entertained by it.
here's what's brilliant about Jason Hibbs. And I don't know him that well. I know him enough. Me and him spoke plenty of times and goofed around plenty of times. But the way I kind of understood it from the podcast, he was even said on the podcast, he goes like, I just learned how to use my analytics. Like, I don't even know my analytics. Like, I don't know how to read like what I'm doing right or doing wrong. He goes, I'm just being me. And I truly do believe him. But I think it's like, I've built enough stuff and I've watched people build enough stuff that when I go at the end of the day and I turn on YouTube, I don't really care about watching people build stuff. Like John Malecki, I hate him, but I also love him. He's a friend. But on camera, I hate him.
He's your son.
He's my son. He tells people I'm his son, but no, he's my son.
He's your son.
John and I, we both build. We have two different types of skill sets. He's very well versed in multiple things. I don't care how to learn what John builds, but what I will turn on is seeing John entertain me while he's building. And I think that's what John's doing. That's what Jason Hibbs doing. And I believe for a period of time, I was doing that as well.
I think you were trying to when you started, and then you got more into teaching, like, because it's not necessarily that your videos were like a tutorial, because you didn't have like step by step, this is how I did it. It was more like, now I'm doing this, I'm using this kind of product, I'm using this kind of tool. So it was like a little bit of that, more of the tutorial, but a little bit of entertainment. So you kind of were trying to do both, I think.
Yeah.
And
which I think it's a good lane if you're trying to do both, right? Because you got to give value. Because right,
it's a good lane, but if you're not standing out in one or the other,
correct,
that's when you get lost in all the other videos.
If your primary lane is instruction.
By the way, I should count how many times you've said lane on this podcast.
Lane's a good one. No, sure.
Lane is a good one.
Lane's a good one. It's nice to stay between the lanes. If you're
at least 10 more times.
If you're well, here's one. If your lane is instructional, you want to be how to do thing.
You've got to be really good at it.
Well, yes, but also I think it's just a matter of time before somebody, like if you're building a deck and you've already built a deck and you know how to build a deck, there's a good chance that you're not going to want to watch a guy instructing you how to build a deck because you've already built a deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this is, let's say, your favorite personality, if this is, let's say, Jimmy Fallon's a great example. Okay, so Jimmy Fallon is a personality. He's a comedian, entertainer. If Jimmy Fallon decides to put out a video that says, I'm building a deck in my house, you're not going to click on the video because Jimmy Fallon's going to show you how to build a deck. What you want to see is what kind of adventure does Jimmy Fallon get into while he's building this deck?
Yeah. You know it's going to be good.
Right.
You know it's going to be funny.
Now, let's say, I'm only saying this from the perspective of like Jimmy Fallon also knows how to build a deck, right? So you want that in-between thing. So James Corbin, another great example. And this is not a building example.
James Corden? No.
Corden, right?
Yeah.
Corden.
Right?
The British guy?
Okay, why does it sound wrong in my head?
James Corden.
Yeah.
It is James Corden. Right. Oh, by the way, Kyle, off point. So Irina, look what she does.
No, I didn't. That was you.
What is that?
That was you.
It's a fracture on my camera lens.
Not me. I did not do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
It's the hood. It's not the lens.
It's the hood.
That's what I said.
No,
it's okay.
don't play, dude. Don't play down. Don't play down.
That's what I said. It's not the lens. Is
she buys a tripod. Uses my camera for the thing.
You told me to use that tripod.
I said use your tripod. I didn't realize that you thought that they're saying.
How would I have realized it?
Just because there's a square connector, that whatever other square connector is going to work. No, you have to get the male and female adapter. I pick up the thing.
I'm still new to
and the thing flips over,
technology,
lands right on the concrete like that, and that's how it shatters it.
So it was not my fault because you moved the camera. You were the last one to touch it. Everybody knows last one to touch it is the.
That's so you.
Is the
last one to touch it. Okay, that's what it.
Yeah. I'm gonna. It's like my boys when whoever's the last one to get in the car has to close the door.
Is that why you leave take my car and you not fill it up and be like last person that the light came on has to fill it up.
I'll drive it until the light almost turns on.
But James Corden is a great example where James Corden goes and does carpool karaoke, right?
Okay, I need to look at it. Why does that sound wrong?
Oh my God. honey, I really
I
do
know.
think it's.
You're right. I think because you said his name wrong the
What are you
first time.
What are you gonna do if I'm right and you're wrong?
Well, it's James Corden. Yeah, you said Corbin.
The first time.
Yeah, that's why it probably sounds wrong. To
So
me,
carpool
right?
karaoke
Yeah.
is something. So he's not a professional singer, but we watch carpool karaoke because we know that he can sing, right?
Yes.
That's the exact, but while being entertaining with these musicians. So it's the same thing as like we have to know that you can build. So you're not like, it's not like Jimmy Fallon's like, oh, I'm gonna try building a deck today. No, like Jimmy Fallon knows how to build a deck, but Jimmy Fallon's also a very funny person, entertaining person.
We're not saying Jimmy Fallon knows how to build a deck. Just so
Yeah,
you guys
do
know.
not buy a house that you find out that Jimmy Fallon built that deck.
Don't buy it.
Don't do that.
But yeah.
So I think that creative approach has to translate to YouTube. I think that's where YouTube has changed. So if you were to ask me what has happened with YouTube in the last, not even 5 years, but in the last maybe year and a half to 2 years, is that there's a clear separation now where you can't just give information because there's a lot of information. There's hundreds of hours. There's actually a statistic of hundreds of hours, what the exact number is, of YouTube hours of video being uploaded every day, which is ridiculous, the amount that is. So there's only so many. Here's how, here, let me show you how to build a coffee table. That doesn't exist anymore. Like I make one today, video's going to get barely any views. What's going to end up happening is if you create a personality that people are now watching. Westlin Diesel is a great example. He's like the a-hole guy who trashes
Ruining
trucks.
Yeah.
You have what's his name? Bobby Dukes, who creates these like knives and swords out of small metal pieces, and but he's got like a goofy personality. There's a lot of characters. You have to have a character, or maybe the character is yourself, but that has to be something different.
It has to be entertaining, and
100%.
people have to love it.
Another thing that
People either hate you, but you're still
Right.
entertaining, or they love you.
And then the thumbnail. So this is again circling back to how you asked, like, what is the next step to expanding the business and
Scaling if you
the
will.
business. If
Yes,
I will.
it is that word. You say it a lot.
Scaling. The thumbnails have really changed. Before, the thumbnail would be like a really cool finished product, and then a picture of you, like maybe in it, or text or title or whatever. But there's words on it. And it didn't matter if it was busy. Now the whole game is like, it has to be this like high def thing.
Why do you think that changed?
I think the way something is, maybe a psychologist would be better to explain this, or a neurologist. I think there's something when there's a bunch of things that are like the amount of information that's going to your brain that you're receiving as you're scrolling or swiping through something. Mm-hmm. There has to be certain colors, certain simplicity, and certain detail aspect that makes you go, ooh, shiny quarter, right? Before, like I said, you can just put on, like, I have many of my older thumbnails where it's a finished product, it's me in there, ba-ba, ta-da, but then be like, cool text.
Ba-ba, ta-da.
Yeah, cool text, cool, subtext, right? Title and subtitle, like a lot of stuff, arrows. But then if you scroll through it, it's just a bunch of funky colors, and you really have to stop. Now, what makes you stop a scroll? There's something on the neurological aspect where when you see a bunch of the same thing, and then something that's not like it, you're gonna pick that thing, right? So I think right now there's a lot of people on YouTube who's got these older style of thumbnails, and then you'll scroll over this like white snow-capped. Not snow-capped, but snow-filled forest, a log cabin, and just a guy with an axe. No titles, no nothing, but it's a crisp shot, and you just saw a bunch of highlighted colors and all this stuff, and text. And graphics, and you saw that, you stopped. Mm-hmm. You stopped the scroll. Now, whether or not you clicked on it's a different question, but the fact that you stopped and it caught your attention, that's the new shiny dime, and I think that's the direction that thumbnails are going to. So going back to, again, answering your question, what am I doing to scale the business and to make my life easier, is I think hiring you onto this role that handles the storyline, the hook of a project, meaning some kind of drama aspect or something that went wrong, to make you truly go, I'm going to stop and watch this. And in the back of your mind, you might still be like, there's nothing that's going to be that crazy. I'm sure well, but it still is enough to make that to stand apart from something else. And handling the creative aspect of a thumbnail, right? I'll still have the ideas because I study thumbnails more than you. But with you, you know how to take a good picture. You know a good shot composition. So I can just walk you through this conversation of going like, here's kind of the idea that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking about executing it in a couple of ways. Let me know if you find another way. And I'll tell you that. And you'll give me an opinion. Be like, I like the first one, not the second one. Cool. Can you set up the shot? We'll come in there and then I'll work with you. And I'm sure the more we work together, the more you'll know and have a better tone to it.
Yeah. Cause it's just about experience and figuring it out as we go. Because right now I don't know like sometimes what you mean when you say, I want it to look like this or that. And so I think it just, it takes time.
It's a growing aspect, but I think that's the thing. And I think that's why Kyle and I have worked so well over the years is because he has a craft. He knows how to document a story. He knows how to film. He knows how to have, he knows cinematography. He knows videography. He knows all that stuff. But I know YouTube in my niche, and it's just enough of me just having the conversation with them and be like, hey, we need to pick up the pace here. We need to slow down here. We need to come up with a little bit of drama, and then he'll like extract it. Like he'll be like, say less.
Find it. Yeah.
Right. And so I think having people on your team that can come up with ideas is one of the most important things. And so he has ideas. I'll bounce things off of him. In fact, today he even came to me. He goes, hey, I'm not in the DIY space, but I've seen these DIY videos. And here's like 6 thumbnails that I saw that really kind of made me stop. And it was cool because it was everybody that I know in my space because I'm so much in that community.
You knew him.
But he was completely right. And he's the perfect example. Somebody who's not doing DIY.
But still consuming it.
He's consuming it. And those thumbnails made him stop and look at them.
Interesting.
So that's the best case study is people like that. Is like how that means we've talked about this before in the podcast.
Attention? Yeah,
psychology, right? We're so again on last week's podcast, Robert Oberst. So Robert has been again on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's been on Demolition Ranch's YouTube channels many times. He's been on, and this is the one that I'm talking about specifically is Preston Styles, which is our kids love Preston Styles. 25 million subscribers, crazy YouTuber, in the kid kind of media of
it's
videos.
Just entertaining.
It's entertaining, yeah.
Like Minecraft.
Gaming,
I think he started with like Minecraft
gaming
stuff.
Challenges, a lot of silliness, goofiness. They attract like a different demographic of people. But what he was telling me is that they have figured out their operation to such a T that they have 2 companies with 2 companies and 8 different photographers, I think, or 8 different images, professionally shot images that they compile a thumbnail. Like the 2 companies that create their thumbnails, they run research teams of which colors attract certain attentions. You know, how do the greens work? How do the blues work? What's the aspects? They study human behavior of which things get the best clicks. And then they take like 8, like that's what he's saying. Like they take like 8 different professional shot pictures, like on-set pictures. So they're shooting a video, and you have a photographer hanging behind the videographer. Shoot those pictures, and the team will come together and have meetings of the compilation and composition that they're trying to put together for a thumbnail. Because the name of the game is click, watch, engage.
But the first thing you have to do is click, so it has to stop you.
And I told this to Kyle today. I was like, I think we're good about watching part. I think I figured out a good pace for our videos, how to keep the attention span that's not boring and it's not too fast. But the click part is like a whole nother realm that you have to figure out right now of how to get people to click on it. Why do you have 500,000 subscribers? Why do you have 1.5 million subscribers, but you only got 50,000 views or 100,000 views? Like, figure that out. That means of that group of people, your stuff didn't stand out when it was catered to them.
Yeah. And I think that goes for any social media right now. Like, you've got to stand out so much. You've got to do something different, even if it's just like just a little bit,
I love it.
So, like Instagram is a prime example because have been lost in like the crowd of that 20 to like 50,000 followers, and everybody's doing the same thing. And so it's like, how do you stand out now? Do you like get better pictures? Do you do better picture quality? Do you do like moodier pictures now to stand out because everybody's doing the light and airy? Do you now do reels that are funny? Do you do more like informative? Trying to figure that out is hard.
Yeah,
but
it's hard. But
people are doing it.
Listen, there's a lot of money in this game, and it should be hard. It should
Otherwise,
be hard.
everybody, what do they say? Everybody would be doing it.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
It has to be hard. Cream rises to the top, and there's a lot of people. And the beautiful thing is, it's a free market, right? I mean, that's the greatest thing about living in this country is like you can do and become anything you want to do or become. You just have to outwork your competition.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So in the book Outliers, and this is I think the third episode of the podcast that I've mentioned the book, but he just wrapped up the last chapter. And he was talking about the Chinese culture about cultivating rice because they were rice farmers for generations. And there's a Chinese proverb that they say the one who rises before dawn, 365 days, fails to make their family rich. And so I think what he's saying in this proverb is that if you outwork the next person consistently, at least try to outwork. When they're sleeping, you're working. And you do that consistently, you will not fail. You will win. It's just a matter of when. Right? So
I think a philosopher now?
Philosophize this. I think
I know what a kids would say to that.
Yeah, don't say it. And I think that's so true. There's so many people, like I'll get DMs from people be like, hey, I just want to get your opinion. I just did 10 YouTube videos and what am I doing wrong? Dude, keep hustling.
Just keep doing it. Yeah.
Keep doing it. You don't understand. It took me 68 videos before I figured anything out. And then it plateaued and then I had to figure it out again. So just because it's not, oh, YouTube should be easy. Everybody's making...
And it's not like once you figure it out, you're like set. You have to constantly keep figuring it out.
Because there's other people who figured it out and they're getting the views.
Yeah. And then also like it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Like social media and changing. Like you said with thumbnails. Like you have to consistently be evolving with it.
You think about celebrities, actors, musicians, or fighters, UFC fighters. You can do a good movie, right? Let's say you filmed in, one of the Avengers movie. Cool, fantastic. You're Spider-Man. You're Tom Holland. You did great.
Thank you.
You did great. But then you have a bunch of other really good movies that come out that you weren't in it. Other people now are the celebrity or like the talk of the town. Well, they're not shooting Avengers, right? In the next couple of years. So you're not gonna be relevant for another couple of years until you do something else. So you have to constantly do stuff to stand out.
Right.
That's the same as YouTube rules. You have to stand out constantly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how much work it takes to constantly be doing the social media thing and like doing well. I think a lot of people think it's just, oh, I'm going to take this picture of my house and then post it. And then, every once in a while post again. But like all of the behind the scenes things that people don't realize, especially with you and YouTube, there's so much that goes into it. And I think a lot of people don't understand. I didn't understand it for a long time.
If you want to have an Instagram or social media presence, you could most definitely just be that casual person. Every once in a while you post, every once in a while. But if you want to create a business that grows and just puts more and more money in your pocket or keeps you on par, because as the algorithm changes and there's more players to the game, you're going to get pushed further and further back. So if you used to get 1,000 likes, 10,000 likes, every year that's going to get smaller and smaller because there's somebody else who's becoming more and more visible and it's getting more and more attention. So if you just want to be micro influencers that has under 15,000 subscribers or followers, fantastic, just every once in a while. But if you truly want to be an outlier, if you truly want to be somebody who you're like, I cannot I will not ever go back to my old job, do the 9 to 5 thing again. I have to be the best at this, or at least be good at this, so I don't have to go back. Then you gotta lose sleep over this, man. You gotta be consumed over this. I took a period of my time in the last couple of months where I was so obsessive about thumbnails and figuring out like how to get the attention that after I was done working, I'd sit on the couch, I'd watch YouTube, and I would scroll through the browse feature and see all these videos with millions and just take screenshots of their thumbnails and then try to reverse engineer why their thumbnails work.
Those ones, yeah.
What's working about those thumbnails that's not working about my thumbnails. There's not a lot of people who do that. There's not a lot of people who sit and they'll try to reverse engineer it. They'll try to lose sleep over it. They'll try to experiment with stuff. They're consistently.
Because you're constantly
obsessed, man.
Yeah, obsessing over like how can I like optimize even more. And I think a lot of people go, well, it's just the algorithm. I don't know. There's nothing I can do.
We spoke about this before. The algorithm is just people. Replace the word with algorithm to people, and there you have it.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. I didn't even know that like thumbnails were such a big deal until you told me, and then I listened to that episode, the Rogan episode with Mr. Beast.
You've officially listened to 2 full episodes that I recommended.
No, I know.
But those are the only 2 episodes you ever listened to.
No.
What did you listen to?
There's some other ones.
Really? Really? Okay. Sure.
No, I'm sure there's been other ones. I can't think of
Kyle,
them.
she listened to that episode with Dr. Shauna Swanson with the taint and plastics. Remember? Yeah. It's a really scary one.
It is. Yeah. That was shocking.
It's about the effects of plastics, microplastics in our foods that are carried through like the storage containers and packaging.
Plastics and everything.
And decrease in sperm counts and shrinking of taints, which is a correlation of whether or not you're fertile or not. And
decreases sperm
counts and decreases fertility in women as well.
Crazy. That was, yeah. But see, I listened to it.
Yeah, there's 2. Let me send you a couple of them on aliens.
Yeah.
Ooh, Bob Lazar should be your next one. Area 51.
Text it to me.
Yeah.
Maybe on our trip. I'll be listening to be like, honey, did you hear? Did you know?
So when you listened to that Shauna Swanson thing, Dr. Swanson, did you order a bunch of glass containers?
I have not. Oh, it's in my Amazon cart already.
Because I think you told me
I have
like,
to first order it in order to get rid of the ones we have because they're being used right now.
Sure.
But it's like you were saying, there's like, what do you do with plastic baggies? How do you not use those?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean,
use foil. You just wrap stuff in foil. Here you go. Here's your snack, your chips.
No,
honey.
you sent them to school with one of those ceramic quiche or not a quiche. What are they called? When leftovers. We were talking about it.
Well, I don't know what those are called. Ceramic.
Kyle, what do they call it? It's so if you have leftovers, there's a dish you make by putting like pasta and the leftover meat, and you put it and you bake it in the oven. It's not a quiche. It's like a. Somebody
will know.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know either. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't even know what that is. I've never.
Somebody's screaming right now if they're listening to it.
Yeah,
like
I know.
On the radio.
It's
kind of like a meatloaf dish, but there's a casserole.
Oh, casserole? That's not leftovers. You can make a casserole.
Correct, but casseroles are notoriously known for like a leftover thing where you take a bunch of stuff from like last night's.
Yes. I've never had a leftover casserole.
You haven't, but traditionally the American like dishes, that's what their casserole. Okay. I mean, you could make an intentional casserole for sure. But casseroles are also used for. So
you're talking about like a casserole dish? We send them to school in
with ceramic casserole dishes. Yeah, be like, here you go.
Or just wrap their like snacks in foil.
They're
just
walking,
like a foil ball.
You hear ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
What is that? Oh, it's just my snack for school. They unwrap it.
It's my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. My mom won't put it in a plastic bag. I had to carry the ceramic dish.
My mom listened to a podcast.
Yeah.
Again.
Our podcast.
Again.
All right, this has been fun. I got to get back to tiling.
Yeah. Stress level low.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Hope you watch it on YouTube. Follow us on all of our Instagram accounts and the YouTube channel. It was fun. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.